everybody. Thank you for joining me. This is Nina McMillan at SouthernAccents.Stampinup.net. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm going to continue my series on Stamping 101, Card Making Basics, showcasing sponging and masking. And this is the card that we're going to be making today. This is not my original idea. I totally cased this card from Tina Zink over at Serene Stamper Channel. She has some absolutely beautiful projects if you want to check her out. I saw this card on Pinterest and it just looked like a painting. And I said, I want to make that card. And we made it several months ago in one of my classes, and it's been one of my most favorite cards that I've ever made. So I said this would be the perfect card to show you guys how to do this technique. Now we are going to be using the High Tide stamp set. This is a great set if you love the beach or lighthouses. It's just a wonderful stamp set to have. I've used it on many cards. There's all kinds of different cards you can make with this stamp set. So this is the stamp set that we're going to be using today. Now, I don't want you to get overwhelmed with the supplies that we're using. We're using 9 different ink colors to make this gorgeous sunset background and the water background. But don't let that overwhelm you. I just want to show you how sponging is done. But we're starting with a Cherry Cobbler card base, and it's cut to 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. That's going to be our base. And then just a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and it's cut at 5 1/4 by 4. And this is going to be our canvas, okay? Now, to start out, first of all, High Tide is a 2-step stamp set, meaning that there's 2 steps to getting that beautiful lighthouse. The first one, we're going to stamp this image in Memento ink on our card, and we've got to decide where we want that lighthouse to be. When you're masking something, whatever you want to be out in front is the very first thing you're going to stamp down. I think I want my lighthouse about right here. All right. Clean that stamp off. Now we're going to stamp the other part of the lighthouse in Cherry Cobbler. Sync that up. Remember, tap, tap, tap. No chest compressions. Now we want to line this up, and if I have to put my head in to see, I'm sorry. Get the top and the bottom lined up. My dogs are trying to get in my craft room. Now, here's where we need to mask. And I have already done this to save some time. All I've used is just sticky notes, okay? They make fancy masking paper that has the whole back sticky and all. You can just use plain sticky notes. And I've already fussy cut this out just to save time in the video. But I'm just going to lay that down. When you stamp your lighthouse on your sticky note, make sure you get it on the sticky edge. And also we need the sun. So you see that sun image there? I've punched out a circle again on the sticky side. And I want my sun to be about right here because we're going for that sunset look. So kind of think about where you want your sun to be. And now we are going to mask off. I'm I was using my other example, wasn't I? We're going to mask off the water and the sky. So we've got to make a line. Where do we want that water line? And you can kind of see where I had it. Use your grid paper to line that up. And if my head's in there in the way, I'm sorry. Use that grid paper to line it up straight. And I want it about right there. That looks pretty straight to me. Okay, so now we're ready to start doing our sunset scene. I am using So Saffron, Crushed Curry, Calypso Coral, and Perfect Plum. We're going to start out with the lightest color. Now our sponges come in a package of 3 and they're round circles. I just quarter mine, so you get 12 sponges in one pack, and it's only like $3.50, so it's not expensive at all. Some people keep their sponges separate in baggies for each individual color. I don't do that. I just wash mine in warm soapy water and let them air dry, and I use them over and over again. So that's my So Saffron, and you're just randomly sponging that ink. Now we're going to go to a little bit darker Crushed Curry. This one's a little bit darker, so I'm going to stamp off. If you come onto the paper, if you come off and then onto the paper, you won't get some smudges. I want it really golden around that lighthouse. All right. So there's the So Saffron, the Crushed Curry. Now let's go to the Calypso Coral. Stamp off. Just some touches of that corally pink that you see in a lot of sunsets. Just randomly put it on your card. Alright, now for the Perfect Plum. And again, I'm going to stamp off and just kind of come on to my card. This gives it that dusky look. And you're just sponging until you get it however you want it to look. Okay. So there's my sunset. Now we're going to sponge that part off and air on this. If you aren't sure where to put your sticky note, make sure you don't want to have a white space in there. So if you leave a little bit of that sunset out, that's okay. So now we're going to do the rocks, and this is where I messed up before. Stampers don't ever mess up, do we? Yeah, right. So I'm going to stamp the rocks in Smoky Slate. So ink that up real good. And you see this little divot here? That fits perfectly at the base of that lighthouse. So just line that up and press down. Now, to give those rocks a shiny look, and also to help when we put the water down, we are going to put clear embossing powder over those. So I'm going to get my embossing buddy, and I'm just going to pat over that. I just realized I didn't get my Versamark out. Get my Versamark. I cleaned off my rocks. I cleaned off that smoky slate. So now I'm going to ink it up in Versamark. And I'm just going to stamp down again. And now I'm going to take my clear embossing powder, just sprinkle that over it. I think I'm off the camera. Sorry, guys. So I'm just sprinkling that clear embossing powder over. Put it back in my jar. Take my heat tool, let it warm. Okay. So I don't know if you can see that shiny, wet look on the rocks. Let me close up these ink pads before I make a mess. I'm going to leave the sponges on top of them because I don't know if I'm going to need to go back and add some color to that sunset or not. Okay. So now we are going to do some more sponging. We're going to use our Night of Navy, and we're just going to sponge the water. Now we need to make sure that that embossing powder has cooled and it's not tacky anymore. Again, take it off the paper and on. And you can make it just as dark as you want to. So now we want to put some ripples in our water. And we're going to use the Whisper White Craft Ink. Ink that up and just stamp over. And no worries, because we're going to get it off of the rocks. That's one thing that that clear embossing powder will help do. So just get the ripples how you want it. I think that looks good. And one thing I want to tell you, you probably hear me off screen, my Stampin' Scrub, this is how I clean my stamps. It has a wet side that you spray the cleaner on and the dry side. And it keeps your stamps really clean. At first, when I first got into stamping, I was cleaning them with baby wipes. And those baby wipes, they leave like a fiber on there that can get in your ink, and it's just not good. So now we need to get that off. I need to get a paper towel. I'm just going to take a paper towel and go over those rocks. Okay, now, one thing that I do want to do, I'm going to put my mask back on real quick. I'm going to take some of this Calypso Coral and put it just at the top of that water to make it look like the sun is reflecting on the water. There we go. Okay, we've got to add our birds up here. And I am going to do those in Memento. Now, there was one thing that Tina did in her card and I did in my original card. I'm going to show you how you can do that if you want to add them. I'm not going to add the mountains into this card, but if you'll take that sticky note and just tear it, and tear it towards you so that you can kind of control it. You can create a mountain background and make it look like a lake. I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to show you how you can do that. Because you see those mountains? So you're going to lay it here and make sure you lay it even, and then you're going to take the Perfect Plum and just sponge along there. And that's how you would create that mountain look. So let's see what the card looks like. There's our sun. I got a little piece there, but I'm not worried about that. And there's our lighthouse. And it's going to go on our card base just like this. I've got to add a sentiment to this. I'm going to make it a thank you card. And I'm going to heat emboss that in gold. I'll have a finished picture. I'm not going to make you sit through and watch that because we've already gone over heat embossing. But that's the card with the sponging and masking technique. Leave a comment. Tell me how you like this card. You can go to my blog, www.ninassouthernaccents.blogspot.com, and you can see pictures there. But thanks for stopping by and watching. Have a great day.